We are coming to you at a new time, so thank you to everyone for joining us here. We are going to be talking about Welcome Week traditions here at Oklahoma State University. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and howdy.
For our live viewers, if you have a question or two for David Peters about Welcome Week traditions, or if you have maybe a short story or memory of your first week here at OSU, we would love to see those. So share those in our comments section, and we'll do our best to answer those during our program today. Now, in honor of Welcome Week, we are in the ConocoPhillips OSU Alumni Center today. And this is a tribute to our alumni and our returning students, and also a welcome for our incoming freshmen. Welcome to the Cowboy family. Behind us, our viewers will see Legacy Hall. David, tell us a little bit about what we find here in the Alumni Center.
So the Alumni Center serves as the home for the OSU Alumni Association and the OSU Emeriti Association. Their first floor is public space, almost entirely public spaces. It's available throughout much of the year. Conferences are held here, businesses hold conventions here, weddings are held here, and receptions. So it's a marvelous public space, and the Alumni Association is pleased to make this available to you. You just have to contact them for that. I think they had over 1,000 events last year. I may have mentioned that, but quite a few. It's a very active place. It also serves as the first stop for prospective students. So when people first come to campus that are considering OSU as a possible home for their higher education opportunity, the Alumni Center is where they start. So I think that's very appropriate too, that we're here, and we appreciate their willingness to let us broadcast tonight from the Alumni Center.
So it starts here and it ends here?
Starts here and ends here.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think what's also amazing for people to have a chance to look at Heritage Legacy Hall behind us. It really shows the impact the university has had on student lives, and then the impact these students have had on the world. It's a marvelous representation of the influence of OSU and its students.
Fantastic. Now, if you are just now joining us, again, we are talking about Welcome Week. If you have a question for David, please let us know, and we would love to see your memories and stories about your first week at OSU as well. So, David, tell us, what exactly is Welcome Week?
So Welcome Week is a part of our attempt to transition young people, mostly young people, into higher education and college. And so sometimes that can happen through their enrollment activities. Some students attend Camp Cowboy, which is an overnight where they can spend an evening and then get to know OSU a little bit better. But Welcome Week is really the 5 days before the school semester starts in the fall. Where we have a number of programs and activities for students to engage in, become more comfortable with their environment here, to begin building relationships with other individuals, develop friendships that may last a lifetime, and become involved with organizations that can have an impact on their lives. So it's really kind of an organized attempt at bringing all those things together. And we know we probably overwhelm them with things, but I think the intent is to expose students to the possibilities that are out there. And then people will follow up with the things they're able to as they go through their college years. So Welcome Week is the 5 days before school starts.
All right. So this, of course, is an Archives Live. We want to talk a little bit about the history of this. So when did the tradition of Welcome Week start?
So I said howdy when we first introduced. Howdy Week was what we started back in the 20s.
The 20s.
The 1920s. And so it was an attempt, really then it was more of a social thing. They would have activities, they'd have ice cream socials and that sort of things. And invariably they'd have a dance of some kind, but it was called Howdy Week. And it was just a socialization process. That became more formalized after World War II, and they had annual Howdy dances from that point on. That was usually always the first week of school. When the Student Union opened in September of 1950, that first week they had a Howdy dance. It was in the ballroom. And so Howdy dances became synonymous with Howdy Week. And it was mostly a social activity until about 1973, when Howdy Week kind of transitioned into what they called Alpha Week. So Alpha at the beginning, Omega would be your graduation, but Alpha Week then beginning 1973. And that became a time, and it was only 4 days long, but where they could introduce students to various organizations, to things like parking and traffic and security on campus, but all the things that we associate now with Welcome Week too. That occurred with Alpha Week. Alpha Week lasted into, I think, into the 90s. I don't have an exact date of when that began transitioning into Welcome Week. So, but now we call it Welcome Week.
It was Alpha in '95 when I participated.
When you went through, okay. So at least 20 years of Alpha Week, but most recently it's been known as Welcome Week.
If you are just now joining us, we are here with David Peters of the OSU Archives. We are talking about Welcome Week traditions at OSU. If you'd like to jump into the conversation, please share your questions or your comments, stories in the comments on this stream, and we will do our best to work them in during our live program. So, David, you talked a lot about Howdy Week. We have Howdy Week. We have Howdy Dance. There was another Howdy activity, Howdy Lane.
Howdy Lane.
What's Howdy Lane?
So in the past, students who lived off campus, either they came from Stillwater, which means they probably came up Knobloch Street and angled across that way, or if they came from the fraternities and sororities, which are southwest of the main campus, they would walk up that walk by Theta Pond as you head towards the student union. We call it Greek Walk now. But that walk along there became known as Howdy Lane. And especially during the first week of classes, and really for the whole time you were here, but they encouraged people to say howdy as you would pass people along Howdy Lane, which is from Monroe Street. And what do they have? The new pedestrian?
Oh yes, the Cowboy Shuffle.
The Cowboy Shuffle, but the corner of Monroe and University, but that corner then angling in towards campus is Howdy Lane, or at least it was known as Howdy Lane.
I like it. We should bring that back.
That's a good idea.
Okay. That reminds me very much of my first visit to campus. When I was a senior in high school, a couple girlfriends and I took the day off to come down and visit the campus. And we arranged a tour, like so many of our students still do today, and we had a tour guide. We met at the Alumni Center, which at the time was just a room in the student union. And she took us on our tour of campus. And as we walked across campus, I was struck by how many people stopped to say hello to her. She must have been a very popular tour guide, but it completely won me over how friendly the campus was. And that was when I decided to come to OSU.
And I think that's one of our finest traditions is the friendliness of our campus and the welcoming that we have for students.
Definitely. Now, I remember my first visit. This was not the Alumni Center. When did this building open up?
So the Alumni Center opened in 2005.
Okay.
So it's been almost 13, 14 years now since the Alumni Center was open. And I can remember working with Jerry Gill on this Legacy Hall area. A number of the images in Legacy Hall are from the archives area. And so it was a pleasure working with Jerry. And they've changed things out since then, but it's still an exciting place. If you're ever interested in kind of seeing a general history of Oklahoma State University, please come see the Legacy Hall and Alumni Association.
Okay, so we do have one question in from our live audience. Anthony wants to know, this tradition has had a lot of different names. So what is your favorite name or your favorite tradition from the history of Welcome Week?
I still like Howdy Week. Really, there were Howdy dances in the 40s and there was Howdy activities earlier than that. But in the 50s, they really were trying to emphasize, especially 1956, 57, Cowboy as our mascot, Pistol Pete. I think by 56 or 57 had been declared our official mascot. So they're really pushing the cowboy theme. And I think Howdy says that in just a perfect way. And so I liked Howdy Week. It kind of made it a little unique and special, I think, for our student body and for our campus. And so Howdy Week is my favorite.
I like it. For our audience, thank you so much for joining us. If you are just tuning into our live, we are here with David Peters of the OSU Archives. We're talking about Welcome Week traditions at OSU. So if you have some questions you'd like to join us in this conversation, please share those with us. If you have any short stories or memories of the campus, we would love to see those too. So David, what kind of activities do we have today for our Welcome Week traditions?
So Wednesday, today, is the first day of Howdy Week. And so there's been a tent set up outside of the Student Union. People could pick up publications and a t-shirt. You needed to register for Howdy Week, but it's free and it's a voluntary activity. But the Student Union has had the tent where you kind of get started. this evening. I think they have SUAB, Student Union Activities Board, has events at the Student Union from 7 to 10 this evening. And then tomorrow it kicks off with a number of activities, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. There are a number of open houses across campus. You can learn about campus safety. You can learn about wellness. You can learn, increase your study skills, learn about technology on campus. There's all kinds of open houses and classroom situations where you can visit some specific times, and those will be in the pamphlets you can get at the tent. I'm sure you can pick those up later too. It's also available online. You can find out all of these activities. But then tomorrow afternoon, they have student organizations will be presenting. They have, I think, exhibit areas in the ballroom. That's from 4 to 6. And then from, I think, 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow evening, they have entertainment that'll be available on the Student Union Plaza. And then what I think is the best activity during Howdy Week, from 7 to 9 tomorrow,
the Edmond Lowe Library House Party.
And what can you do there, Bonnie?
Oh, what can't you do? House Party, obviously, signature event of Welcome Week, but we're going to have Latin dancing and Zumba lessons out on the plaza. We're going to have tailgating games on library lawn. Inside the building, we're going to have trivia tournaments, a scavenger hunt, board games, video games, and of course, tons of food. So it is always a great time. We've been doing this for several years now. It's kind of become a tradition, but it's the library's way of welcoming our new students to campus. So it's a wonderful time. You going to be there, David?
I'm going to try to be there. And I'd like to invite everyone to come out and join us. So,
will you be tangoing?
We'll find out tomorrow night, won't we?
Okay.
All right.
You'll have to be there to see.
Okay. And then Friday, there's a college spotlight. There's all the colleges, I think between 2:30 and 3:30, kind of spotlight things in those colleges. So if you're affiliated with a certain college, please visit those locations on Friday. They have the new student convocation is Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. It'll be in Gallagher-Iba. So please come over for that. And then tomorrow evening, they have Rock the Block from 5:30 to 8:30, where they have games and prizes and food also. I think there's food everywhere all week long.
Always a popular theme with college students.
More activities Saturday afternoon, or Saturday evening, 6:30 to 7:30 is an event called Fired Up. I think it's mostly for the Greek houses, so I'm not sure about who all is included in that one. But then from 7:30 to 9, they call it Party on the Field, and so everyone meets at Boone Pickens Stadium. They learn some of the OSU athletic traditions related to our fans here at Oklahoma State University. And I believe it culminates with a class photo. So the class of 2022, they gather on the field, and I think they try to take a large photograph of the whole group. So there's major activities, minor activities, there's all kinds of activities for the next 5 days as we get ready for Monday when the first day of classes start.
All right, so it looks like we have a couple questions that have come in, so let's make sure that we hit these before we go. Samantha would like to know, are there any former Welcome Week traditions that you think should be brought back?
I kind of miss the Howdy Dance. Maybe the library is taking that over with our activities on the library plaza with the
there
dance.
Will be some dancing.
There will be dancing going on. So
we can bring it back just by calling it the Howdy Dance,
Dance,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that was a nice touch. And then, of course, I like ice cream, so they used to have an ice cream social. And oftentimes the president would be there, and sometimes the president would be serving ice cream. But I thought that was kind of a nice touch in the past, too. But also, in the past, too, there was a much smaller group. And I think that may have been part of the reason why the dance had to kind of transition. I mean, when you have 5,000 students, it's easy to have a certain number show up for a dance. But when you have 25,000 students, it'll get a little harder to manage. So. But yeah, the Howdy Dance and then the ice cream social.
Now, you brought a few photos.
Yes.
Let's take a look at some historic photos of Welcome Week through the years.
So some of these are more exciting than others, but we have a variety of images, but different residence halls, different organizations, departments would have these welcome centers where you could sign in and register. This first picture is from an Alpha Week activity early on. Here's an ice cream social. This is from the 1970s. you could dip your own, so you could help yourself to ice cream. It was on the Theta Pond lawn area. Here's a later dance. It was a howdy dance, but the theme was nerds, and so from the nerd era, they had a nerd howdy dance. Here's a young lady enjoying one of the watermelon feeds during, I think it was probably Alpha Week when she was attending. Here's another picture of from the top looking down on slicing up watermelons for Alpha Week. Here's a large group. Here we are. It's I think it's that area between Stout and Murray Hall, that lawn area. They had a large watermelon feed there for Alpha Week. Here's a picture, an outdoor dance. It was a howdy dance in front of Old Central. So it was on the Old Central lawn, just right out the door from where we are right now. Here's a howdy dance from the Student Union. Sometimes they were in the ballroom, sometimes they were on the Starlight Terrace up on the 4th floor. But here's a howdy dance early on. Here's just another picture of students gathering snacks. Now, there's food everywhere. What I forgot to mention earlier on, we'd had an Archives Live earlier about beanies.
Yes.
But that used to be a formal process during the Welcome Week or Howdy Week time. This is back in the 30s and 40s. Kind of died out in the 50s and 60s. But you had the freshmen coming in would kind of be officially given their beanie, presented with their beanie and placed on their heads. The beanie styles changed slightly through the years. Sometimes they were solid orange, sometimes they were orange and black. But getting your beanie as a freshman kind of was a sign that you had arrived on campus. It was a way, sometimes we think of maybe teasing the freshmen, but also allowed existing students, faculty and staff to know who was new and might need some extra help. And so it was a way of reaching out to some of our students at that time. So I've got several pictures here from beanies that used to be given in the 50s. By the 60s, I don't think they give them out anymore. And then here's a picture of a Howdy Week, probably indoctrination session of some kind, but it's young ladies being taught to some of the traditions. In the old days, you used to get demerits if you didn't follow the rules, and so she was probably showing these young ladies what they needed to do so they wouldn't get any demerits. And then Howdy Week and Welcome Week and Alpha Week have always involved social activities and trying to encourage people to connect with people. That's where we really engage our students if they find a connection either with other individuals, with organizations, and so it's always encouraged that budding relationships and comfort on campus. So I think that's I guess one more. That's about it. And also lines have always been associated with these first weeks back, but we've really gotten much better at organizing how people move through getting enrolled and getting signed up for everything. And so the lines are actually shorter than they used to be.
Okay, well, let's take one more question before we go. William asks, are there any collections related to Welcome Week in the archives?
So usually it's been organized through Student Services, now Vice President of Student Services. So we'll have records from that organization, from that division on campus. So we'll have those records. So we probably have correspondence, details about scheduling and planning involved with that, who all was involved at various points in time. So probably through our official depository records from the Office of Vice President for Student Services would be our best source for records related to Howdy Week, Alpha Week, and Welcome Week. There'll also be information in college newspapers. Those are available online, so we could do a search. I probably should have done a search before I showed up this evening, but from both the old newspapers and from our old yearbooks, because things like that would have been featured in the yearbooks. There'd probably be more pictures in there too. So those would be probably the top three I would look at first.
Fantastic. Well, we'll try to add some links to those in the comments on the stream so people can take a look at those. David, thank you as always for chatting with us. And thank you to the Alumni Center staff for hosting us here today. And of course, thank you to all of our viewers for joining us and sharing those questions. If you enjoyed this program, we really hope that you will hit that like button and share this with your friends. If you have not gotten enough Welcome Week stories just yet, I would encourage you to listen to the upcoming episode of the library's podcast, Amplified Oklahoma. It's a production of our oral history department. And this month, the podcast is exploring freshman memories, and they're going to be pulling from some of our interviews that we've done for our O State Stories collection. And as always, don't forget to check out the archives videos. You can find those on O State TV and on our YouTube channel. We'll have a link at the end of this video. Thanks again for watching, and everyone, we hope to see you next month for Archives Live.